Drum performance, my God, he just explodes. You can just hear he's so into it, and that drum performance, that energy, that drive that Alan has on, it just blew me away.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole concept, and to me, what shows in WHITESONGS is that at that point, a lot of times there are bands, and I like bands. That's why I'm sitting here right now. It started when I was really young. I won't get into that, but this band was a project, like a lot of projects that I've had since my first band back in the Midwest. But you get a project and you get some musicians together and kind of formulate it as we had explained before. And then you're just trying to see if there's going to be any fruition to it. And that starts with, we recorded it, and then we had some songs, we had the structure, and we had the connection between us. And then there's playing it together live and putting that together, and that usually says it all, and I think that showed at that point.
Yeah.
You know, I think WHITESONGS, now when I listen to it, I know, and what comes from me is that, wow, yeah, we were ready, we were going out, we were going to play this, and it was fun, and it was going to be a good thing, you know?
Yeah, just a ton of energy. It's, I will say that listening to it, you know, after performing it more than a decade, it's now a decade and a half. The 15th anniversary of that show is coming up in 2020. And when I listened to not only how explosive it was and how amazingly tight it was, the arrangements that we did, especially in the short amount of time, actually not even including it, forget about the amount of time, we happened to work at breakneck speed, but the arrangements and the way they sound, I think, are incredible. When I listen to our version of Changes, it's just got this great drive. I think Alan's really, really energized. It sounds great. Carl's playing of Trevor Rabin's parts, I think, is great. I really like Carl's interpretation. I tried to grab things from the Union tour, where there was Tony Kaye and Rick Wakeman playing, and Tony Kaye had all these great pads that were in there. The Union version of Changes is my favorite version, so I wanted to incorporate that as well. And we did 3 Yes songs. We did Changes first, and that was a fun one. So Tony Kaye is a great friend of mine, and during the Union tour, this is something that I never knew. Tony told me this secret a number of years ago. Actually told me after we had done the show. Tony did a whole bunch of the cool pads that when I saw the show, I actually thought Rick had been playing the pads. But it was Tony Kaye, and he put these really nice pads in Changes. The Union version was always my favorite version of Changes. So when I did it, I grabbed Tony's pad parts, and they're sitting in our version of it. Also, I picked up Trevor's guitar parts during the verse, the straight, 1, 2, 3, 4, that Carl can't play because he's got these big bursts going on. I'm actually playing that with my left hand while I'm doing other things with my right hand. I might also be adding with my foot. I might be hitting triggers. It was either myself or Alan, or quite frankly, it was both of us together. We had to orchestrate that. I would be hitting backup vocal stacks. So in the case of Changes, for example, it would either be my, I think it was my right foot, one of my feet, because I had the balance on the other. 2 hands would be going, hit a right foot vocal part, or Alan would hit a drum pad, and then Kevin, Carl, and Steve would be singing along to this giant stack. That's why Changes sounds so big. That's what Yes does as well, same thing. So we would figure all this stuff out, but we actually figured out what we could and what we couldn't do, and we could figure out, hey, we need to have this part, Carl, can you do this? Hey, Alan, can you do this hit? Hey, Steve, can you be doing a bass part? a bass pedal part and switch your guitar so that you're doing a rhythm part. We rehearse that, I will say, Yes style. And I've been to a bunch of Yes rehearsals. Yes did their 35th anniversary rehearsal. Chris Squire and Alan White did their rehearsal here at this studio where we're filming right now. And typically the way Yes would work would be the individual elements would get together and rehearse individually first. So in the case of 35th anniversary tour, it was Chris and Alan would spend anywhere from 10 to 14 days. They'd go through the set list that the band had agreed on, and they'd get everything done. They'd then show up, and everyone would have expected to have their parts ready, and they would then rehearse for maybe a week or two. Pretty spontaneous considering the complexity of the material. So we did something similar. We ended up going ahead and we did some small rehearsals at Donn Bennetts' place. Remember that, Kevin? Mm-hmm. We were at Donn Bennetts' place, which when they say you pay your dues, you pay them at Donn Bennetts. Anyways, we had the great fortune that Donn lent us this space, and it was fantastic. And we went in there and we did some of the really hard work. How are we going to do this? Now, what's hard about rehearsal? What's hard about rehearsals, you typically have multiple guitars, multiple keyboard parts, additional percussion parts, layered backup vocals. How the heck do you replicate that live in a way that it pays on to the song? Alan and Steve had to figure out how they were going to figure out their parts. Carl and I had to figure out how we were going to replicate the guitars and keyboards, and in many cases Carl and I would swap off parts. We wanted to get back to what did they do on the record, and how can each of us contribute to the parts that may not be playable by the original instrumentalist. How do we do that live? And so we figured that out, and we had that big you and Steve went in and recreated the giant changes stack. Yeah.
The band was tight, and it came across really well.
Yeah.
From Yes's blockbuster album 90215, Changes! Changes, I'll never be the same. Something you did touch me, there's no one else to blame. The love we had has fallen, the love we used to share. Given up pretending as if you didn't care. you has turned to emptiness. The love we had is fallen. The love we used to share, we've given up believing in love that wasn't there. Changing places, root yourself to the ground. Word to the wise, when you get what's coming, one word can bring you round. Changes, when I look into your eyes and try to find out how, there's no way to save us now. And everything I feel changes. Keep looking for changes. Changes. For some reason you're questioning why I always believed you did better. One difference between you and I, your heart is inside your head. One word from you, one word from me, a clear design on your liberty. Who could believe when love was gone? How we move on like everyone. Only such fools, only such jealous hearts. Only through love changes come. Changing places, root yourself to the ground. Capitalize on this good fortune. One word can bring you round. One road through loneliness, it's calling your name. One road through happiness, it's calling your name. Changing places, root yourself to the ground. Capitalize on this good fortune. One word can bring you round. Changing places, root yourself to the ground. Word to the wise, when you get what's coming, one word can bring you round. Changes. This next song is about things that are important to all of us. Love, friendship, and loyalty. Here's loyal.